Hello and welcome to the Roughneck Minute, a Movies by Minute podcast where we go over the movie Starship Troopers 1 minute at a time. I'm one of your hosts, Matthew.
And I'm your other host, Johan.
And we are at minute 34. This minute starts with Carmen and Stack looking at the Roger Young, showing her, hey, this is what I'm flying today, that's why I'm so happy, and ends with Carmen telling someone, it's amazing that they're running into each other like this.
Yeah.
But yeah, we get that nice little banking shot of what Carmen and Stack are going to be looking at and why Carmen is super excited and willing to, break regulations and possibly get her flight status revoked. She gets to fly a big federal frigate.
Yeah, I was looking at the way the model of the ship is done. It looks like part of it is a regular model and part of it is CGI.
Yeah.
Like the ship itself is CGI.
Part of it is, yes, but a lot of it, there was a few hero models of this particular ship. A few of them were sold in auction. I was trying to look at one to see if I can get one, but they were up in like the $12,000s of thousands of dollars.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, hero ships are expensive, man. They're really beautifully detailed.
Yeah, but because it's just the way the light hits the ships. It makes, and the way the shadows cast it on the docking station, that it makes me think that they're two separately designed things.
Yeah, and also you get a bit of that little motion blur as well too, that kind of early 90s CG motion blur to distract your eye away from, oh, this may not look so good if we're running it not without motion blur kind of thing.
Yeah, well, because I mean, like on the screen, the left hand side of the docking station, there's a shadow cast from most likely this. Why would the sun be reflecting on that side of the moon? Anyway, so you see, there's a little bit of shadow on that arm, and also on the right side, like it's on the back side of it.
Mm-hmm.
There's no shadow cast on the communication tower.
Huh. Yeah, it's early 90s CG or late 90s CG.
Yeah. No, but that's what makes me think that they were done at two separate times.
Yeah.
If they're probably looking at a green screen, they're like, oh, look at how gorgeous that green screen is. And then they look at it, it's like, well, what are we looking at? And it's just like the model of like the docking bay. And then later on, they add in the CGI. So it's like three completely separate parts.
Yeah, and I mean, that's really common nowadays, but back in the day, it was probably really new.
Yeah.
Especially like 95, 96.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I was just wondering, why is there, or light being reflected from that side? Because they're kind of looking at the darker side of the moon.
Yeah, well, so in the previous scene, we saw that the Earth was kind of eclipsed a little bit because the sun is on the other side of the Earth. So the sun is shining to the moon, showing where the sun is shining on the moon, like where it is right now.
Okay, so it's on this side.
Yeah, so the sun is pointing at the moon right now. The side that we're on is getting full sun exposure.
Okay, so that makes it even worse the way the shadows are cast.
Exactly. Early 90s, late 90s CG.
Oh my god. Alright, because I'm looking at the shadows and I'm like, alright, so the sun should be there. And I'm looking at it from like the way you would draw shadow. But you're looking at it from actual interstellar perspective where everything's completely wrong.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, I don't think they really meant us to go through this minute by minute and scrutinize the shadows.
Yeah.
Oh well.
So,
we're doing it.
Yeah, so everything should be illuminated, as they say.
Everything should be, because, I mean, you're getting a backside light from the sun, and then you're getting a forward light from the moon, because the moon is reflecting pretty much everything the sun is. So everything in this area should be illuminated. But we get a scene change, and we see Carmen walking through a few airlocks. But this does seem to emulate the normal kind of airlock, where it does have a 2-door mechanism. One opens up, closes, one opens up, the other closes as well too, kind of like if you go into a butterfly habitat kind of thing to make sure nothing gets out.
Yeah.
So it's a good emulation of bulkheads and how they're supposed to be set up. That she goes and announces herself to the captain, whose name is Brenda Strong, but
Yeah.
she's playing Captain Yvette. I'm gonna get this wrong. No,
Go for it. Go for it. Go for broke. Go wrong if you have to.
no, I got it. I just needed to read it in my head a few times. Yvette Deladrier. There it is. Yvette Deladrier. So she.
What if would it be Deladrier?
It may be.
Yeah.
Deladrier.
Yeah, like kind of, with the French accent to it.
Sure.
Or not accent.
Enunciation?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yvette Deladrier. That sounds good. Why not?
It sounds awesome.
Yeah. But Brenda Strong, yeah, she's playing the captain. She actually, it's a funny thing too, she's actually another character in the second Starship Troopers movie.
Yes. When I heard the announcement of the Starship Troopers 2, I heard a little bit of the rumor mill. Everything obviously isn't as easily accessible now, like with TMZ and whatnot. But did you hear about the other stuff that was being said while Starship Troopers 2 was being developed?
No, I didn't.
So none of the characters came back, obviously.
Yeah.
She wanted to come back as that captain.
But the captain was dead. Spoiler.
But yeah, that was supposedly the rumor.
Huh.
She was saying she should be able to come back because it's a sequel, but then they were saying but you died. She said, well, it's the future. It should be able to be done. But so she just comes back as a different character, which made no sense.
Well,
actually, it wasn't explained.
It wasn't explained in the movie, but later on, Phil Tippett, the director of the second movie, does say that Dee Drake, the character in the second movie, is the twin sister of Yvette.
Yeah.
So they're sisters, but different names, same person.
Yeah, but it was just funny that it started because she wanted to come back to reprise her role. Even though she had died.
Yeah. I mean, again, spoiler, but yeah, this captain is not long for this world, unfortunately.
Yeah. But also, Brenda Strong, she was in Supergirl, or she is in Supergirl, of Lillian Luther. And she's on Desperate Housewives, which I did not watch.
I didn't either, but apparently she's the voice of the lady who was killed in the first series or whatever it was. I didn't look it up too much because I don't care about Desperate Housewives. That sounds like something that I would not be interested in.
Yeah. The closest I got to knowing about Desperate Housewives was in Arrested Development, where they're protesting Desperate Housewives.
Hell yeah,
it's satire. That's about as much as I know about Desperate Housewives. But I hear it's a good show. I just never got swept into it.
I'm not into that kind of drama, the same lane, neighborhood drama where it's all like, oh, did you hear about what's-her-face, what she did against the homeowners association? Ooh, she's bad.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's a lot more than that, but just the whole entire premise of it just seems really not in my demo.
Yeah. Well, do you notice something that's also going on in the bridge that hasn't been done in the last minute?
No, I actually haven't. Are they all not running around like idiots?
Well, no, not just that.
Okay.
They're actually checking flight status.
Oh, they are. Yeah, they're actually getting ready to undock and everything, and they're actually going over safety procedures and pre-flight checklists.
Yep, which Carmen never did.
And she still doesn't.
And she's about to fly that frigate.
I have a lot to talk about. The whole entire undocking sequence that comes up and all this other stuff. There should be a lot of stuff. It's not just Carmen, it's the whole entire Federation Navy, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
But let's continue on with our minute right now. Yvette tells her to take the number 2 chair, so she does. And we get a little bit while they salute each other. We get a little bit. What's up?
I have a number 2 chair.
Take the number 2 chair. It doesn't have this one. I don't think this one has a hole in it.
I got jokes.
Oh,
Medic!
ew.
That's gonna be the longest medic.
I'm just gonna. Yeah. I hate you. Hate you so much.
Making you laugh while you're sick is so funny.
I'm just gonna cut that whole entire thing out. You're not even gonna hear it.
Aw.
No, I'll be okay. So we also, while they salute each other, we get a view of the infamous Avocet watches.
Yeah, actually, yeah, you get a glimpse of it, but the real view of it is in the next minute. But yeah, you're right. You do get to kind of see it. It seems like everybody that's on, or that's what's it called, the pilots or whatever.
Enlisted, yeah, the officers, enlisted officers.
I don't know why I can't think of the name right now. But if you're fleet, if you're in fleet, you seem to have these watches.
Yeah, they seem to be standard issue watches, kind of like you get a certain watch if you're in NASA or something. You know, you're a astronaut, you get a certain watch.
Yeah, I'll go over more of the watch in the next minute because I actually did a little bit of research on it.
Okay, I did a little bit too, but mine was probably less fruitful than yours.
Well, I tried buying it.
Oh, wow, recently?
But then I realized it was such a waste.
Okay. Well, we'll get into that in the next minute, though.
Yeah.
So Carmen sits at her station. She goes behind the captain, which is kind of a weird thing. She should just, I don't know if that's a walkway, but she just goes behind her. Goes to her station, sits down, and presses a button and says identify, where the computer tries to identify her by her voice. We see her profile come up. It has her serial number, which is... Sorry, we get her serial number, which is 5737-9, but a lot of the information on there is blurred out, or a little blurry for me to make out. The only thing I can really make out on her profile is that her current assignment is pilot trainee aboard the Roger Young.
Yeah.
There's like levels on there. It looks like level A or level 1. Clearance, it looks like a level 1 clearance. Another thing says, sex female. It doesn't say yes, please.
It looks like it says she's also class 4.
I think so, something like that. So yeah, it may be like class 4, 3, 2, 1. 1 is the highest, so 1 would be the captain.
Yeah.
But it's way too blurry, unfortunately. Even like in like the high def Blu-ray version that we both have, you can't really see it.
Yeah. I also thought it was kind of weird that she walked behind the captain. It would just seem weird that would be the path everybody would take to get to that part of the helm.
I think she takes that way because she doesn't want to spoil the surprise that comes up in the next second, which is she turns to her co-pilot, her trainee, or her trainer, and her co-pilot hands her a clipboard, and we see who that trainee is.
No, what I mean is, why didn't she go in front of the captain instead of behind?
Well, the captain has a station right there too, and then it drops off into the number 1 and number 2 chair. So I don't think she can walk in front. It's
just weirdly positioned because also the people at the very front of the helm, do they have to cross that way as well?
I don't know. They may have a little. We actually never get to see the front of the bridge right there.
But but you see the 2 people, so that's why it wouldn't be annoying if you were the captain, if you knew every ship was designed that at least 2 people are going to keep walking back and forth behind you.
See, what I'm thinking is Carmen should have actually gone behind that spinny round gyroscope looking thing behind the captain and then gone around, but she didn't.
Yeah, because I know why she's addressing the captain from that side instead of the other side if there's another door. It's because all of her, all her prep for flight is on that side, like the monitors and the switches and all that.
Yeah.
So that's the captain's open side. But it just seems like poor construction that you would always have to walk behind the captain.
Also, I don't think you should be able to walk behind the captain because you could just like punch her in the back of the head or something like that.
Yeah, because from what I understand with a lot of military people, they when they come back to civilian life, they tend to be more at ease if they have a wall directly behind them.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things. If they've experienced combat, it's something that you're trained with. That there's protection if you have something behind you instead of your back being exposed. So that's why it would just seem weird that you would constantly have people walking behind you at all times.
That would be kind of weird. I'd actually get really annoyed with it. I do sometimes get annoyed with it when my wife comes up behind me and I don't notice her. So, I don't know. People behind me kind of creep me out a little bit. Not because they're looking at what I'm looking at. I don't really care because I can look at whatever it is. It's just I don't see them. I don't know what they're doing. They could be making faces at me. I wouldn't like being a captain.
Yeah.
But yeah, so go ahead.
Yeah, so we're at that part where someone hands her a clipboard?
Clipboard, yes. This is why I'm assuming that she went behind the captain, because we didn't want to spoil who this is. But even Carmen is surprised who it is, as I'm sure everyone else in the movie is too. It's
Xander.
What? Oh my gosh! How did this happen?
What a callback.
Wow. And he was in Fleet 2, and then he said, maybe I'll see you and maybe I'll see you there. Maybe we'll see each other. And they're seeing each other right now.
It's a little weird that he rose to the ranks so quickly, though, isn't it?
A little bit, yeah. He's a pilot trainer. And I mean, he's basically a number one. He's basically Yvette Delanier's second in command.
Exactly, and he's a trainer. So, but he's only I think a month ahead of her.
Yeah, it's probably a month ahead of her, short term, long term, maybe about 6 months. Even still, that's really quick. But they may have some kind of fast tracking officers training. In the book, they actually have a officers training thing. Actually, I'm sorry, I'm thinking about a different book. But they would have a seat that would teach them statistics, strategies, and other stuff subconsciously. So maybe that's something in this one, but I don't think so. It's just
maybe he was just a promising pilot, so he knew someone.
Maybe. Or, yeah, maybe he knows someone up in the ranks and be like, hey, maybe you should get me a higher position kind of thing as well, too. Because it seems really weird, again, that this would be her, trainee crew that they're going to go around the block in the solar system and with this crew.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the thing I found weird was the number one and number two at the helm. They're within a month of each other's training.
Not only that, but they're less than a year. They're officers as well too, because I'm pretty sure you don't get to be a just regular enlisted person while being on the bridge. You have to be an officer.
Yeah, but on her monitor, she's an ensign.
That's true.
So she's not high ranking.
No, but again, she's a pilot trainee, so I mean, she's in officers training, I'm assuming.
No, but well, yeah, okay, we can assume that she's in officers training, but she's a pilot, which is one of her things. So she has a level clearance to be a pilot, but she's not exactly a ranking officer.
True. Okay.
Because she's an ensign. So how far up is Xander that he gets to be within a month that he gets to be the trainer? Most likely, if anything, sergeant level.
Well, I think he's actually, as we'll see in a later minute, when everyone meets up again, he is definitely a higher rank, and someone doesn't want to punch him because of his rank as well too, but they have to disregard rank.
Yeah, but that's why it's how quickly did he rise up in a month that he's that far ahead of everybody?
I'm thinking maybe he's at least corporal or lieutenant or something like that.
Okay.
I don't know. Because I'm thinking maybe lieutenant, because lieutenant's a really kind of lower grade, especially for a ship. You got lieutenant, commander, lieutenant commander, and then captain and all that other stuff.
All right, I guess it just seems weird because I can understand when the infantry, when they start moving up because people are dying, so they fast track the experienced people or whatever. But when they're fleet, they obviously don't die as quickly.
Yeah, it is really strange.
So he was maybe he's assassinating everybody that's above him.
Maybe.
Xander, you're such a D.
Whatever, man. I mean, he didn't know that he knew that he was going to get Carmen, but he didn't know until she came to the academy. So maybe, oh gosh, that is kind of subtly really creepy now.
Well, all right. So we can talk about in the next minute why what he says doesn't make sense of how he met up with Carmen.
Mm-hmm.
But we can wait until the next minute. Because
Sure.
he describes how he met up with her, but it doesn't make sense to me. But we can go over that later on.
Yeah. But yeah, let's get back to the minute a little bit. He basically says, she asked, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? And he's like, well, I'm the guy who's going to teach you how to fly this crate. And Carmen even flirts with him just a slight bit. Ask him, should I call you sir?
I have that in my notes saying she's already flirting with him. Should I call you sir?
Yeah. And he kind of like subtly says, oh, only when I give you an order. So, you don't have to, but I kind of like it. And
see, I don't blame Xander on that. I blame her.
Yeah, I blame her because she's flirting, but I mean she flirts with everyone. I'm surprised she didn't flirt with Stack, honestly.
Why didn't she?
I don't know. That would be a great, amazing fan fiction.
Yeah. Someone write the slash on that.
Let's do it. But the minute then ends when Carmen asks, isn't it amazing that they ran into each other like this?
Yeah, it's amazing us running into each other. It's like,
No, well, we'll find out in the next minute why that isn't amazing at all.
Yeah.
But that's where that minute ends. Do you want to say anything else about this minute at all?
No, I think we're nearing up to the end of this Carmen trilogy minute.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of, we're right now at the, let's see, this would be Sharknado 2 part of it. Is it Sharknado 2 or Sharknado 3?
I never saw any of the Sharknado, so I don't know.
Well, I'm just saying in the series. Like, we're just about like 2 or 3 minutes into her 4-minute appearance in this movie, and it's already needs to end.
Yeah, well, I'm actually at Nuclear Train Tornado, so that's where I'm at.
Yeah.
You ever see that? That was a dumb movie.
No, but I've watched Sharknado. I like it, and I'd prefer that than watching Carmen right now.
I'm giving it a pass because it's space stuff, and I like space stuff, but barely passable.
See, but I know Amazon Prime has Sharknado, the first one, on Riff Tracks, so it made it a great introduction into watching it and just putting it into this. It's a campy movie. And when you get the second and third, you just get that understanding of the vibe of the movie, so it makes it passable.
I don't know. Like, I'm certain. I never really liked we're making a bad movie for a bad movie's sake, because just really tongue-in-cheek, really heavy-handed kind of stuff.
Yeah, but it was kind of like this whole stream of a lot of bad movies. It wasn't the only one. It just happened to be the big one.
Yeah. As long as I don't... Go ahead.
There was like Lava Ranchula, there was Sharktopus, Mega Shark. There was like a whole slew of them. So
Megalodon,
this was
that one GIF where the shark jumps out of the water and attacks the 747.
Yeah, that's Sharktopus, isn't it? Or no, that's Megalodon.
Yeah.
Or is that Mega Shark?
I think Mega Shark. Some one of those things.
Yeah, but it's just Sharknado happened to be the one that rose above all of those. So, and I think most of them were done by one studio too. So it just makes sense.
Well, they know what they're doing.
Yeah, so it's not like a trend of like all these studios are doing a bunch of these types of movies. It was one studio churning out a bunch of them, and that one just rose, so they stuck with it.
But yeah, so do you want to talk about anything else about this movie? Because we need to move on just a little bit.
No, I think I'm good.
All right. Well, I wanted to do something because we are recording this in the middle of the great month of October, and that means Halloween is just around the corner. This episode should come out a little bit before Halloween, I believe, too, because we record about 2 weeks in advance or about a week in advance from time to time as well, too, if scheduling doesn't come up too right. But I wanted to do something that our friends over at the Cabin Cast Minute did. They did their initial episode, they did a thing called the Handshake Horror 5, which basically means we discuss our 5 favorite horror movies or 5 favorite scary movies, Halloween style movies that basically describe you. And there's 5 of them. We actually did this when they did it on their Twitter as well too, hashtag Handshake Horror 5. And we'd appreciate it if you guys did as well too. Go to our Twitter or go to Facebook and do your Handshake Horror 5. Basically, let us know what your favorite 5 horror or Halloween style movies are, and we'll do those one at a time for each of us. If you do, you want to start, Johan? You can do your first one. I'll do my first one after that.
Okay. So my first one, I think I would want to put Puppet Master.
Oh,
because that was the first horror film where I actually rooted for the bad guys.
yeah. I mean, aren't the puppets like really, really sympathetic in this one as well too?
Yeah, because they're really just being controlled by somebody's their passions, but not only that, like the type of kills that they had with Drill, Pinhead, Hook, Leech Woman, I think came in the second. Later on, you have the 6-shooter. You have Torch. God, there's so many, and every time it was just like you wanted certain ones to make the kill because you liked that kill.
Yeah,
Leech Woman's big kills, like it was that leech, but it didn't show up as much. For some reason, people were thinking that they were turned on by a puppet, like a 6-inch puppet, and then that's how she took advantage of him. I don't know how that worked, but yeah, it was just one of those that this was just you wanted them to make the kill because even though each one did their own, it was just fun for me to watch how they made their kill. Later on, as the series goes on, you start to feel really bad for the puppets with more lore and everything. But I actually really enjoy this series, and even though it never came off to me that it got progressively worse story wise and campier, it's one of those that it always stayed fun and good for me.
yeah. Actually, you mentioning Leech Woman actually is the only thing that I really remember from that besides 6-shooter. Just because she did do a kill where she was hovering, or not hovering, but she was in the rafters above someone and just started like launching leeches out of her mouth into a guy. And that just creeps me out for some reason, and that just sticks to me. Even though I haven't seen that movie in like 20 years, that one just, creeps me out, man.
Because it's one of those things like Nightmare on Elm Street where you're vulnerable. That's why it creeps people out. Because in Nightmare on Elm Street, at least you're dreaming, you know who Freddy is, you try and wake yourself up. But this one, the person's just sleeping.
Yeah.
So it can creep you out because there's nothing you can do about it.
All right. Well, my first one is actually going to be the 1988 version of The Blob.
I know you talk about this movie a lot. It's one of your favorites.
It really is. I actually saw this movie on VHS. My dad, again, had it magically, but it was at my grandma's, and I would stay at my grandma's house during the summer, and at least once or twice a week I'd watch this movie. It's, again, a remake of the 1950s version of The Blob, but it is set in a small town where a meteor, quote-unquote, falls down and starts terrorizing a town, eating inhabitants. But this monster really creeped me out because it wasn't something that would just suffocate you. It was an acid-eating, growing ever bigger with every kill monstrosity. One of my favorite kills on this one was when the guy is trying to cop a feel on a girl, but then has his hand basically eaten by the blob, and then the blob actually caves in the girl's face. She's already dead. It's really
Oh,
creepy. It's gory as heck too. Actually, one of the other movies too where they actually kill a kid.
wow.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Was it? Huh.
Well,
I thought about that.
he's like a 10-year-old, 12-year-old, something like that. But even still, he's down in the sewer and he gets caught, and the blob takes him, and we actually see him being digested as well too. One of the other favorite scenes in that one is the phone booth where this lady is trying to get away from the blob and call the cops, but she's stuck in a phone booth. The blob envelops the phone booth, and you can hear it creaking, and she tries to call the police. Oh, I need to call the sheriff. Can you bring him down here? And they were like, oh, he's already down there. And you see his partially digested body just float by.
Oh.
It's gross. But, I mean, it's a great movie, too. But yeah, what's your second one?
All right. For my second, I put Scream.
Oh.
I know I think it's going to be a classic. Because in a world of now, especially with like remakes, and even back then, there wasn't a lot of originality when this movie came out, like in 93, 94.
Yeah, I think 93.
This was an original villain. It had an original idea of what the villain's motivation was, which a lot of times horror films, it's always going to be the kill. That's it. They're like and then it's revealed later on like why they're killing. No one really like Jason. You did at first. You could go with the fact that he's just killing someone, and then there's a story behind it, and it's like, oh, cool, that's a good lore. But it was just fame. It was weird.
Yeah, peer pressure, man, as what's his face says.
Yeah, but that's just a weird motivation. But you can actually kind of see it. Because it's not too far-fetched of something to like sociopathic.
Oh, especially nowadays too.
Yeah. So that's why it's on one of my lists, but it also is on my list because the scene with Rose McGowan in the garage.
Oh yeah.
It freaks me out because I cannot stand being in a garage alone anymore. Like, I could as a kid. I could ride my bike around in a garage like most people do with the door closed. Not a problem. After that movie, it's like, every time I close the garage, I sit and I watch it go all the way down to make sure nobody runs into the garage.
Yeah.
And it's because of that movie. Ever since then, I've always done it. It freaks me out. I always sit there and I watch it, make sure it closes all the way. I made sure that nobody ran into the garage. Like for some reason now the garage no longer became a safe space for me. And it's because of this movie. So that's why that one is on my top 5, because it actually changed something in my regular life.
Yeah, that's a decent reason, honestly. Yeah.
So, all right. So what's your number 2?
My number 2 is actually a kind of a genre a little bit, but it is specifically Creepshow and other horror anthology movies, including Tales from the Dark Side, the movie, and also, I want to say in a lesser extent, Trick or Treat. But Creepshow was, again, my first horror anthology movie, where, it's a little horror story snippets from a comic book or something. And one of my favorite ones on there was To Tide You Over, which was a guy who was a killer, but he would bury people in the sand, have closed circuit TVs of their loved ones drowning while the tide came in, and would do the same thing to their lovers as well too. Eventually the guy, gets killed by these waterlogged zombies and everything, and it's really cool, all stylized at the very end before the actual kill happens into like a comic book. Tales from the Dark Side is another one of my favorite horror anthologies as well too, because that one has the Cat from Hell, which is a cat do you remember that one?
That is such a good one. It is such a good one.
It's creepy as hell. I mean, it's, again, this is like this weird kind of like vor thing that I just it disgusts me, especially like with Leech Woman as well too in Puppet Master. But the whole entire thing where the cat is just coming out of the person's mouth just freaks me out, man.
Especially since you're a cat person.
I love my cats. Yeah, I mean, my cat is a wonderful kitty cat, but that cat, man, is just nuts. Um, but yeah, the whole entire horror anthology stuff, Creepshow especially, Tales from the Dark Side. I love all that stuff.
Yeah. It's good that you mentioned Trick or Treat, because I went to a Long Beach Comic Con where they debuted that movie before it got released, and they did a quick Q&A for it. So that one was one of my favorite Halloween themed Halloween movies since Halloween.
Definitely.
Because it's not just a horror film, it just revolves exactly around Halloween. Nightmare Before Christmas does not count as a Halloween movie. I know a lot of people like think it's the titular Halloween movie. It is not. The movie starts after Halloween.
It's a Christmas movie.
It isn't. I mean, that's why it's called Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah.
So
I could argue that it's both, but it's mostly a Christmas movie.
It's about Halloween inspired situations, like with Jack Skellington. There's vampires, werewolf, and all that. But it is not a Halloween movie. It is a Christmas movie. It is the Christmas movie that I would love to watch, but it's not a movie I would watch for Halloween. So that's why I think it spans from Halloween to Trick or Treat as being one of the best Halloween themed movies.
Oh, definitely. My wife and I will always sit down and watch Trick or Treat at least once during the Halloween season. We have yet, mostly because of our son, but I'm pretty sure we're going to arrange that pretty soon.
It's such an amazing movie. You can, now that you have a son, you can dress him as Sam Hain.
Oh, I could.
Yeah.
That'd be creepy.
That was a very good reveal of what his face was.
Yeah, it really was.
That movie overall is just a good movie, but it did not make it on my top 5.
It didn't make it on my top 5 either, unfortunately. As I said, it's a horror anthology, the whole entire series and everything of that, but it's lesser than, honestly, Tales from the Dark Side and Creepshow for me.
Yeah, but I would definitely put it in my top 10.
Oh, for sure. It's there.
I mean, there's definitely like great classics and cult classics in my top 10, but when we had to cut it down to certain top 5s, I picked ones that influenced the way I would see movies later on.
Yeah, I didn't want to do like a top 10 because that would take up way too much time. We'd be here for an hour and a half, 30, like 40 hours or something like that as well too. Top 5 is a perfect like little demographic where you get a nice little snippet of what this person likes. But what's your third then?
Okay, so my third, I know I just briefly showed you this, but it's called Zuma.
Ooh, yeah.
Zuma. It is the first horror movie I ever saw. And I did not see it as a horror film. I thought it was real. Because I didn't understand movies when I saw it. This movie came out when I was like 6 years old. So saw it on TV, and I was like, what is this? Like, what's going on? This freaked me out. And so Zuma, it was based on a comic book in the Philippines, but the lore is Aztec. It's a serpent, or the son of a serpent god. And instead of I've shown you that comic top 10. There's that one guy, the demigod one that has the feathers.
Oh yeah,
on his back.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of being plumed with feathers, he's plumed with 2 serpents that are draped over his shoulders. So as he goes around rampaging because someone awoke in a Aztec temple during an archaeology dig, like they do, the serpents come out, they bite people, they strangle people. He's just basically on a murderous rampage. It was made in the Philippines, so it wasn't big out here, but, and I'm not saying this in this hoity-toity film, what's it called? Snob type of thing. I was born in the Philippines, so it was my culture. It was there. It's rewatching it now. The movie's horrible.
Oh yeah,
but it was my first horror movie. So
I mean, that's specifically why I asked you about this too, like the Handshake Horror 5, because these movies just define you, kind of thing.
Yeah. Oh, and one of the things about Zuma, he was also bulletproof. So back then, where like they didn't use napalm and nuclear weapons because of budgeting, he was almost unstoppable.
Jeez. So,
Yeah.
so in the end, how did they kill him, or did they kill him?
I do not remember. I need to rewatch it. Like I watched it like part of the way, and I was like freaking out, and then my cousin had a giant stuffed snake.
Oh, jeez.
So to freak us out, she kept it in the room, and then she slowly slathered it over her shoulders. And then while we were watching it, she turns and goes Zuma, and then like has like the snake like coming out at her face. So never finished watching the movie.
That's actually funny because that kind of goes into my third as well too.
Okay, what's your third?
Arachnophobia.
That's on your top 10
Yeah.
or your top 5?
Oh, dude. So okay, yeah, definitely. This is one of them that defines me. Arachnophobia because I am not really deathly, but arachnophobic for sure. Arachnophobic. I saw this movie with my dad when it came out. And he decided it would be a great idea to wake me up to do a practical joke on me where he got a really dumb, not real life looking, big spider, tarantula, not stuffed animal, but a plastic one, put it on my chest while I was sleeping at like 6 years old, and then yell, "Matt, you have a spider on you, wake up." And I looked down at this giant, ugly, plastic looking spider thinking it was real, not screaming, but just hyperventilating and freaking out. So yeah, I mean, it's a defining one as well too, but I like it because, I mean, Jeff Daniels is kind of hilarious. It is a dark comedy as well too, especially with, oh gosh, what's his name? The exterminator.
John Goodman.
John Goodman as the exterminator, because he's just a reluctant hero who just comes in with his special formula and he's like, yeah, that got him. That got him good, kind of thing. But it's a scary movie because, I mean, it's an unstoppable force that comes from a prehistoric, valley that has never reached, modern world, but then it starts breeding with, common spiders and destroying everything in its place. And oh gosh, I don't know. It's a scary movie to me. Really scary.
Oh, all right. I that one's nowhere near my list. So it was a good movie, but I just find it weird that it's on. But that's to each person. I mean, it's the same thing with my thing with Zuma. I got freaked out, and I'm still a little bit shaky about snakes. And I could see how that would be with you.
Yeah, so, exactly. It's a Handshake horror vibe where it's my kind of out there thing that isn't really a horror movie. It's more of like a monster movie. But it defined me because it scared the crap out of me. But what's your number 4?
See, this one where it kind of moves in from yours. Mine is Them.
Oh, okay.
So you go from a bug to my bug.
That segued really well then.
Yeah. So, this is one of those movies that not just because it was a horror movie and not because it's also a monster movie, which is something that really defined me because of Ray Harryhausen. Yeah. It like with the whole like his monster movies were super good, but this one, the thing that made it so big for me was it opened my eyes to not just being enveloped with horror movies, but the idea of creating a monster from something real.
Ah, okay.
So it started to open up my mind a bit of, would it be possible? So, things like movies like Piranha, even Sharknado for a certain sense. It's just thinking, it's a stupid, nerdy way of thinking, but obviously we all did it. Like, how would this be possible in the real world?
Yeah.
So it made me start to think, would their bones break? And then I'm reading the books, and it's like, okay, ants don't have bones. All right. So reading more, and then it's like the exoskeleton. Well, how big could they get? Like, wouldn't that become heavy? And eventually, there's a certain point, it does get too heavy. Um, but it was just one of those movies that it made me start to think in a different way because these could be real.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's why it's on my list because it's how I start to think about certain things. Like it because of this movie, when I think of things spiderweb. It no longer became linear. So that's why this one is definitely on the top of my list or on my top 5 because it expanded the way I thought at a young age.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's a
So,
great one, actually.
and it also sucked that I knew a lot of people that never heard of this movie, and I was like, "Are you kidding me?" And to me, it was like a classic.
Oh, yeah.
First off, it was in black and white. So in my mind, if it was in black and white, it was a classic because that's how it was brought up. Classic movies are black and white, and classic movies everybody's seen them. So when I would bring up the movie Them and no one knew it, I'm like, how do you not know it's a classic? So that was my interpretation of the word classic. Didn't know there's another interpretation of the word classic, meaning kind of it's just old and not a lot of people would see it. But yeah, so Them just made me think of movies different, or made me think of things in general differently.
Yeah, I could say the same thing about like Godzilla a little bit as well too, because they're all transformed by super science and transformed into these horrible, horrible monsters, kind of thing.
Yeah. So
well,
it's on your 4.
My number 4 is actually a classic as well too. John Carpenter's The Thing.
Ooh. That is good.
Yeah, so this is another one that scared me a lot. I actually never read the original book, Who Goes There? And shout out to The Thing Minute with Harper Harris as well, too. He's doing a great job going over The Thing minute by minute as well, too. But this movie scared me for another reason, which was The Thing could be anything. It could be the dog. It could be your best friend. It could be the guy that you've known for years and you would never know. And that just scared the heck out of me, especially, during the scene where they're testing the blood and they're testing everyone's blood. And then suddenly it freaks out and starts attacking everyone. But another reason why this movie freaks me out is because it has amazing practical effects. The effects look real. When the head of, what's-his-face comes off and turns into like the little spiderling with the eyes and everything and just starts crawling around.
Yeah.
It looks so good and so real. And also the whole entire, the defibrillator scene too, where he's trying to resuscitate him, the chest opens up and just crushes his hands. Pulls his hands off and everything. There's just so much about this movie that just scares me, and the practical effects and the paranoia go hand in hand in this movie for me.
Yeah. The paranoia is what peaks it for me. It's not obviously there's something to be said about the prosthetics and the actual effects instead of CG. It's up there, but the paranoia. Like, you feed into that as much as the characters do.
Oh, yeah. I mean, even in the very end, you don't know if Childs is the Thing. He may be. MacReady doesn't know either, but he assumes that maybe he is, and they're just going to sit there and die together.
Yeah. So, that's a good one.
I love it. Yeah, what's your number 5?
My number 5 is... That one is probably on a lot of people's number 5. It is going to be Halloween.
Oh, yeah. Classic Halloween.
Because you can go 3 minutes into this movie and be like already on the edge of your seat. By that meaning the intro with the music. Like, that just became a whole new layer by John Carpenter on making these movies, that the music, because he did it himself.
Yeah.
But the other thing is when he's done his own music, like he did for Escape from New York, the music's horrible in that. I don't care what people say. The music he did with the synths on that, it's bad. It's bad compared to Halloween. It seems like this was it. This was that was as good as he was going to do.
Well, he also did the thing intro as well too, the Desolation theme.
It's not as good, in my opinion.
I agree. I mean, it's just that dun 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 kind of thing, you know.
Yeah, it's very simple. That's the thing. He all of them are very simple, but for some reason, Halloween, those simple notes, it like even man, just it creeps you out. It's like a punk song. A punk song only uses a certain amount of notes. It's like the top four, like how all the big songs only use the same 4 notes.
Yeah.
This is that. Except it's so punk because there's nothing else to it. It's one keyboard on the most part.
It really is. Gosh.
It's just like an ominous tone and then the notes. And that's it. And that's all you needed to tell you that this movie is going to be scary. And it delivered. That was the best part. The movie absolutely delivered on it.
Yeah, it really made me fall in love with Jamie Lee Curtis alongside Trading Places. Her in this movie, super good.
Yeah, absolutely. But here's the thing. You could replace almost anything in this movie and still keep that tone. And it would be just as good.
Yeah, I think you could, actually, yeah.
If you put this tone in Friday the 13th, it would be scary as well. If you put it in Nightmare on Elm Street, it would be even scarier.
Gosh.
It's just that single element in that movie that really escalates and puts it up to a level that it just can't be beat because it's done in 2 to 3 minutes. Yeah,
I agree with that one. I mean, I did kind of like the remake a little bit too. The Rob Zombie remake. It is okay. It's definitely not as good as the original though.
Yeah, but he had his blessings to make it, so I can be okay with that.
Also, shout out to another one of my favorite podcasts, the Film Reroll. They actually did a episode on Halloween. Let me explain a little bit. The Film Reroll, basically, they do a D&D style campaign for different movies by using the GURP system for rolls, and that means that the movie can do weird things, not along the lines with the actual movie. And they did Halloween, and it was great.
It was actually a very good episode.
It went longer than I expected, too.
So yeah, they did a good job. I like a lot of stuff that Film Reroll does. Currently, they're doing Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Oh, it's so good.
It is good. They've actually, the character or the actors are portraying Bill and Ted. They've actually really sunken their teeth into the roles, and they're doing a great job. So good up for them.
Definitely, they are. Well, let's finish this up. My last one is my number 5 is People Under the Stairs.
Ooh.
Now, again, I've only seen this maybe once or twice. I want to say because my dad and I used to rent movies on the regular. Every single weekend we go to the video store after he picked me up from my grandma's house. We'd rent a video, and most of the time I rented these videos based on the covers alone. This was one of them as well, too, that I rented, and when I saw it, it freaked me out because it was basically the story of a kid who goes to the owners of his house, because his parents are renting the house and they're foreclosing on him, or they're kicking him out, and he wants to know why. He wants to go and steal some stuff. But it takes place in kind of the hoodish area as well too, and I did grow up in the ghetto of San Bernardino over here, so it kind of resonated with me a little bit too. But once he goes over there, he finds that these people are sadistic, horrible people who have taken other people, disfigured them horribly, and then thrown them under their house. And one of the ones that really freaked me out was the guy who had his tongue taken out.
Yeah.
But I mean, the whole entire time, it's just these people know that he's down there. They're taunting him. They're, saying that they're going to do horrible things to him. And he has all these encounters with all these other grotesque people that are just living under this couple's house. It is disgusting, and it creeped me out so much, especially because, it was my first time seeing it when I was little. And I was wondering, oh gosh, are there people like that? Really? Are there people like that in my neighborhood? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. And it scared me. But yeah, that's my fifth one. It is, I haven't seen it in years. I need to go back to it, see if it holds up. I don't know if it does, but that one especially freaked me out.
Yeah, I remember watching that when I was a kid with my dad, and this one was creepy for me because it made it hard to, because I'm normally a generally trusting person, but this one made it seem like you can't trust anybody.
Yeah.
Or you can't trust everybody. What I mean. The couple were absolutely creepy. Jeez.
Yeah, especially they don't call him by his name either. They just call him Fool. Hey, Fool, what are you doing down there, Fool?
Yeah. But yeah, you're absolutely right. This one is a good one.
It's not in anyone's wheelhouse too. Like, I tell people about this, they're like, oh yeah, that's an okay. But yeah, I mean, it definitely is one of my top 5.
Huh. I'm looking at the IMDb, and Sean Whalen is in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I completely forgot that he was in this movie.
Yeah.
Because he's Liam McPoyle in Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
He has like a greasy look and everything. But yeah, I forgot that he's in this movie.
Yeah.
He looks kind of like Ryuk from what's it called? Goddamn, Death Note.
Yeah.
He looks like he could have played Ryuk. But yeah, the part where they all start emerging from the staircase, like or from the walls, that made it like pretty dang good.
Yeah. So
there's actually like really notable people in this movie. AJ Langer.
Mm-hmm.
People that may not remember AJ Langer unless you're one of the in our generation of 90s TV shows. I think she was Step by Step. Well, she was also in My So-Called Life.
Yes, she was. So,
dang, what other movies was she in?
I actually remember her specifically from Escape from LA, where she was the president's daughter who got quote-unquote kidnapped, but she went willingly to, what's his face? Caesar or... I don't remember his name. But yeah, she was the president's daughter, and he was all like, oh yeah, go ahead and kill her.
Yeah. But it's just AJ Langer's one of like the crushes that I had back then.
Oh yeah. Cuervo Jones, that's what his name was. Cuervo Jones.
Oh jeez.
Escape from LA is not a good movie, but it's one of those movies that I'll just watch just for the funniness of it, and it's, I don't know, like the whole entire like sub-sequence where it goes past Universal Studios, stops there for a second to take a look at the sign, and then has like the Jaws counterpart come out and be like, rawr.
Yeah.
It's such a dumb movie. But yeah, that's we're gonna end that. We're actually about an hour in.
Oh geez. Yeah.
It's okay. I expected us to go long, especially for the Handshake Horror 5. Again, guys, we'd really appreciate it, and really want to hear what your Handshake Horror 5s are as well too. Again, shout out to Cabin Cast Minute for giving me this idea of doing the Handshake Horror 5. I want to hear what your Handshake Horror 5s are. Go ahead and tweet at us with the hashtag Handshake Horror 5, or go on our go on our Facebook group and give us your Handshake Horror 5. And that Facebook group, again, is the Roughneck Minute Billet. Again, we're doing this because it is Halloween. It is time for creepiness and good movies and all that other good stuff to come out.
Yeah. So you can also follow us on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher. Please like and subscribe to us. Drop a little review if you can. You can also visit our website at theroughneckminute.podbean.com. Like you said, we're also on Facebook with the Roughneck Minute Billet. Follow us on Twitter at roughneckmin, M-I-N. Do you have anything else to add, Matt?
Guys can find me at AltTabMatt pretty much anywhere else. Twitter, Instagram, Twitch. I've been streaming a lot of Elite Dangerous, and actually just got an upgrade on some of my stuff, so I've been doing a lot of combat missions.
Yep. And you can follow me on Instagram at JDASHD26. I'm also on Twitch of the same handle. I've been playing a lot of Overwatch because I just got it, and it is so much fun. If you guys ever want to play, I play on the PC. I've been your host, Johan.
And I've been your host, Matthew.
See you on the bounce, troopers.